time. So thank you so much for joining us. This is kind of a preliminary session for tomorrow.
Blogging is all about youth and about people who want to make change and be leaders and inspire change and be that change and all and whatnot in the crisis that we're all going through in these days. Everybody wants to have their voices heard, and so last year Bali Sahab ke saath humne discussed bahut sara kuch kiya tha that let's lead up to a place where we can invite and involve everyone. So this is not, even though you see a panel here which is going to be moderated by Jahanara. Jahanara, are you still here or have you run off? So even though the panel is set up here, the idea is that while Jahanara moderates the panel up here, myself and Shafat, Tariq, can you stand up? Okay, so Shafat are going to be moderating all of you. Thank you very much, Jahanara. Come on, Faisal, don't look so bored. So can we just have a round of applause again? The idea of the panel discussion is, yes, to talk about blogging and about leadership and about blogocracy and everything else, but to keep it limited so that we can get as many of you in this room to talk and be heard as possible. So Jahanara, your, mine and Shafak's task, very challenging task, is to limit. We decided on a minute and a half. A minute and a half is the average that we're going to be taking in terms of our comments and our questions. You want to ask a question, please ask whatever is in your heart and whatever is in your mind. But just make it as precise as possible. We don't have a lot of time because right after the panel discussion, then I don't need the mic at all. Right after the panel discussion, we've got our talk shops. I'll get Shafak to announce and share those details with you. But we also want to have breakout sessions for all of you. So the idea is, please have your voices heard. But just make it precise enough so that
everybody gets a chance.
Everybody. So there are about 100 people in this hall. Let's try and get as many of us to try and make a comment. ठीक है जी. What we should do?
I don't know. Should I box up? Yeah, we punch. Okay. Otherwise, we could have probably have the introductions.
हाँ, थोड़ी बहुत
Well, we can probably.
Sana, is Dr. Saab here?
Yeah.
Okay, IBA is very kindly consented to become, partners in that youth bit also here in Karachi. And for that, if you can help me invite, I'm trying to time this perfectly. Adnan, tell me if I'm doing this right, because I only have one take for this, right? So, please help me join us in inviting and welcoming Dr. Ishraq to the front of the hall. You're in the middle, because Buddy's going to be there and I'm going to be here.
Business administration, which is the traditional field for which IBA has been known. But we are also very actively involved in information technology and the computer sciences. And one of the, one of the reasons why we welcome all of you is to find out what is really happening and how can we as an educational institution be able to respond to the future challenges. This is a field, the social media, which has become very powerful, and for the youth, if you look at the whole Arab Spring movement, there was no leader for that movement. That movement was initiated by the young men and women through their interactions in the social media. So the world around us is changing, where the established sources of power and authority and leadership are crumbling before our eyes. And it becomes quite imperative for educational institutions to listen to people like you who are active participants in this medium as to what we as the educational institutions can do. We may have our own vision, we may have our own strategy, But if it is not responsive to the needs of the young men and women of this country, then it will become totally irrelevant. This country is replete with beautiful documents, very well written, highly commendable as far as the content is concerned. But if you look at the track record of their outcomes, the implementation and the promises do not match. And the reason is that there is no consultation and involvement of the stakeholders. So I am not persuaded that, driven by an individual or an institution, the visions are not got any meaning. It is the cumulative, participatory, collaborative approaches where the ownership is widespread and highly diffused that you can have some results. So I personally would have this coming from you, and then you tell us as to what our institution can do in order to help you take it forward. And that is my request to all of you.
So just a quick question, sir. Do you blog, or are you on Twitter or Facebook and all these young people do?
I am on the Facebook. I don't blog as much because what I do is that I post all my writings, articles, papers, newspaper contributions on my website, which is just a passive way of disseminating information. But frankly, if I am active, then I have to devote time. And unlike these young men and women, I do not have the luxury either of the competencies they have in the Twitters or in the Facebook, or the functionalities and the capabilities. I don't understand them so well. So I think I will be wasting too much of my time if I do that.
Just one last question,
Yeah.
sir. Do you have a podcast? Do you have an idea to have a podcast or a webcast, let's say through YouTube, where you can talk? Because you're a very inspirational person, right? And I mean, you walked in, and some of the people, some of the bloggers started to stand up. But do you have plans that maybe by using Google Blog or YouTube or something, have a webcast and inspire us?
I think there are some of my presentations and speeches are on YouTube.
Okay.
But I don't make a particular attempt myself. But for example, if there are sponsors of the conferences like the Institute for Chartered Accountants, which you also attended as a CFO, they have that on the YouTube. And similarly, other places also, we have the PBA Capital had an international conference called, and I was there, and they put this on the YouTube. So my contribution is zero. It is others who try to
Use your content.
Yeah.
Basically, they're using your content.
Yeah.
So, एक मेरा छोटा सा क्वेश्चन maybe just thought would be, is IBA planning to include these new sciences as part of the curriculum, especially for the graduating MBAs or the bachelors, the new media which is all around this?
Yeah, I think we have started in our business school the media studies. This is for the first time we are doing it. But we want to expand this area because this is becoming very, what I say is demand-driven field. So we have to be, similarly on the IT side, on the technology side, I think our societies, the student societies, the Web Society and the Information Management Society, they are quite active in all these media. And if there is a demand from the students, we will certainly include them in our curriculum, as we review and revise, we have a whole process where one individual cannot say that this is what you should have in the curriculum. This is a whole process. And we have focus groups. So we will have focus groups of people from outside IBA and inside IBA. And if there is a consensus that this ought to be included in the curriculum and something else has to go out, those are quite difficult decisions. And we will take those decisions.
Great to hear that. Dr. Isham, thank you very much for your time. I know you were extremely busy and tight for time. Just a correction that actually a lot of these bloggers are working and they blog by passion. And we'll be recording our proceedings today, all day today, and the awards tomorrow. And you'll be able to, if you read some of the profiles of all of us who are young, including yourself, I mean, somehow we find the time because there's such a passion for representing the correct content and the correct news through various avenues which all of us have available to us. So we certainly wish you all the best and hope that we can learn from you in leadership, that we can continue to learn from you, and perhaps what IBA can learn from this entire group, Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad, what the blogosphere is all about.
I look forward to that, and thanks very much, and wish you best of luck for the rest of the year.
Great. And look, it's so casual. You're wearing jeans. You're not. You're even wearing a jacket.
Jeans. They're all wearing.
This has turned out to be very like gender.
We didn't even talk about it.
Gender balance. No, it's not.
It's not gender balance.
It's not gender balance.
But all right,
Yeah.
Okay. Jahanara, it's 3:40 right now, and see my phone is on vibrate mode. If you could please check, because I heard somebody's phone ring again. Lay out the rules, and if we are agreeing to the 75-second, 1.5 minute gap, discussion time beyond the open. 90 seconds? Okay, I'm trying to cut it short.
Your math is not very good.
No, everything else is quite bad. So 3:40, we are about 10 minutes, so I'm going to take in 10 minutes and we're going to involve Q&A during the discussion and try and make up for that time. Once again, if you have a question, please, किसी भी आप ज़बान में पूछ सकते हैं और जैसे मैंने GOT
नहीं किसी ज़बान में ज़बान में हम लोगों को समझ में आए
उर्दू या इंग्लिश में आप पूछ सकते हैं
चाइनीज़ में भी पूछ सकते
हैं please keep it very, very precise वरना you'll see what my anger and wrath is.
An example of that is the hand.
Example of that is the hand, which I'll tell you later on. Okay, Shafaq, you are with me?
Yeah.
Okay, and for those of you who are tweeting this, it's the hashtag Pakistan Blog Awards or PBA. And we are going live on Google Hangouts, so please also go ahead and tweet that. Go ahead. You should be here. Canada, over to
I
you.
didn't know that. All right. First of all, everyone please turn off your mobile phones or put them on silent. Because any phone that rings, I will
Confiscate.
I always need another phone, so I will confiscate it for sure. All right? Because it's really, it's very distracting. And if you don't know how to turn off the volume, please check with the person sitting next to you.
All
right, so we've got a very, very exciting panel here. And the topic has been sort of left up to us, even though it says leadership, bringing what? Bringing leadership to Pakistan new media policy. Okay, so blogging is no longer restricted to website-looking places where you write articles or post pictures and videos. Now with Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus and YouTube, people are blogging in various ways. Microblogging, blogging using podcasts and things like that. So we're going to expand this to a discussion on all these things and not restricted to blogging. There was a time when any of us who used new media or technology to say anything were known as geeks. Now everybody uses it to talk about culture, about politics, about, we use it for activism, we use it to get people together, as Dr. Ishrat was saying, in the Arab Springs, and locally in the case of PTI, it's been used heavily. So we'll talk about all that, and we will start, since there's only one woman in the panel other than me, we will start with Sana Salim, who is, by the way, not many people know that, but she's in her final year of medical school, so she's going to be called Dr. Sana Felici. But what she's known better for is her activism. She writes for Global Voices. And I want Sana, if you can just quickly tell us about the role of activism and the leadership role that people in Pakistan have been playing as far as bringing ideas and issues online. If you can talk about that.
Yeah, I think that the blogging really got blogging in Pakistan really got into the limelight when during Musharraf's dictatorship there was a complete media blackout. And this was the time when I joined Global Voices as well, and Awab and other voices there. I think new media offers an alternative to broadcast media, which I'm aware that many of us have many issues with. Because of so much happening in Pakistan. बहुत सारी चीज़ें, बहुत सारी stories, जो individual stories होती हैं, वो cover नहीं. We all know that the foreign policy and the foreign politics that we have, that covers most of what is in mainstream media. But individual stories of people, what we struggle with, can only be brought about when, if I'm on Twitter or if I'm somewhere, only I can bring that. I have my platform to share that. Okay, there's load shedding for 8 hours, or there's some other problem. So I think new media truly does bring out this one sphere where you can hear the voices of people. And just a short thing about Global Voices. Global Voices is a project at the Berkman Center, Harvard University Berkman Center, and it grew as a media platform where they only cover stories, or they cover reactions of news stories that people share on their Facebook, on their Twitter, on their blogs. So stories that don't get highlighted in the new media get highlighted there. And now it has over 300 bloggers from around the world, even countries like Cambodia and Madagascar, and various parts of Africa which don't even have that popular mainstream media. So, in a nutshell, I think that new media is truly shaped up to bring, to be an alternative, and a much more powerful alternative to reach out to the people. And we see that happening now with political parties actively using social media to change.
Thank you, Sana. Badr, we'll come to you next, and can you share some figures as to the population in Pakistan that is online and the different mediums that they're using online for activism and leadership and other things? And before Badr answers this question, just want to let you know that after each of the panelists has made their opening statements, we're going to open this up to you for comments, questions, interactions. So be ready.
once again, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. आप में से कितने लोग,
सर मैं आपके सवाल का जवाब दूँ।
ज़्यादा आपकी बारी आखिर में आएगी
हो सकता है कहाँ से?
आप में से कितने लोगों ने आज प्रिंट अखबार पढ़ा था? और आप जिन लोगों ने हाथ खड़ा किए, कितने लोगों ने आधे घंटे से ज़्यादा पढ़ा था? अपनी कंपनी के एड्स देखने के अलावा एक साहब, दो लोगों ने आधे घंटे से ज़्यादा
अखबार में काम तो नहीं करते?
तो 2%, और कितने लोगों ने यहाँ आने के बाद SMS या ईमेल कर लिए?
आई थिंक फिगर आपके सामने
अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 2% लोगों ने अखबार पढ़ा और बाकी आए आपके सामने. बट जस्ट टू क्विकली, आप में से कितने लोग IT या बिजनेस
स्टूडेंट्स कितने, सॉरी बाय द वे?
सॉरी, सो आई जस्ट वांट टू गेट एन आइडिया. मैं आपसे थोड़े से फिगर्स शेयर कर लेता हूँ इस वक्त क्या पाकिस्तान का करंट सिचुएशन है. ग्लोबली इस वक्त 1.7 बिलियन लोग इंटरनेट पर हैं. 1.7 बिलियन लोग आउट ऑफ द 5-6 बिलियन टोटल पॉपुलेशन. पाकिस्तान के अंदर 170 मिलियन या 80 मिलियन पॉपुलेशन में से इस वक्त 22 मिलियन इंटरनेट पर हैं. 22 मिलियन पीपल पाकिस्तान में इंटरनेट यूज़ कर रहे हैं. 5.6 मिलियन के करीब फेसबुक पर हैं पाकिस्तान में. आगे पीछे थोड़ा सा उसका फेसबुक ग्रो कर गया होगा, कोई एक आधा मिलियन आधा. ट्विटर पे इस वक्त पाकिस्तान से तकरीबन 4.5-5 लाख यूज़र्स हैं. सो जो फेसबुक की फिगर थी वो फेसबुक की ऑफिशियल फिगर है. जो पाकिस्तान के इंटरनेट यूज़र्स की थी वो PTA की फिगर भी है और गूगल की फिगर यही है और ITU की फिगर भी यही है. जो ट्विटर की फिगर है ये मैं आपको गूगल के एस्टिमेट्स बता रहा हूँ. लिंक्डइन पे तकरीबन 9 लाख लोग हैं पाकिस्तान से. ऑलमोस्ट 1 मिलियन पीपल नाउ लिंक्डइन पे प्रोफाइल्स हैं पाकिस्तान से. Again, it's a Google figure and LinkedIn official figure as well. और कौन सी प्रोडक्ट रहेगी जी यूट्यूब, वो हम बताते नहीं हैं, सॉरी गूगल में। उसकी एक वजह ये है कि हम sorry, I think you can take 22 million as Google users and you can then probably extrapolate the जी approximately 12.5 million है, ये third party कोई estimate है, I don't know, कोई source इसकी कोई source क्या है? Internet source।
That was answered. Internet being the source.
So ये है, the rest is some of the top visited websites from Pakistan and from Pakistan जो websites हैं उनमें Geo.tv is the most, junk.com.tv is the most visited website of Pakistan from Pakistan. And then we have one of the very small, I don't know, paperpk.com, अगर आप लोगों ने notice किया website, that is also one of the top visited. Parknews.com is also one of the top visited websites. So ये पाकिस्तान के कुछ top visited, other than the media, कुछ media websites जो कि वैसे बड़े known brands हैं, they may not be most visited websites on the web in Pakistan. उनकी expatriate traffic ज़्यादा है. I hope I've given quite a lot of figure. Hotmail और Yahoo भी अपनी figures share करते हैं. I think उनके भी 5-6 million के करीब अपने users हैं पाकिस्तान में registered जो वो disclose करते हैं from advertising perspective. I think आप बेहतर बता सकते हैं, आप लोगों ने अपना Yahoo पे advertise किया होगा. Approximately नहीं figure?
I was expecting you to say Hotmail or Yahoo के 5-6 लोग हैं.
I'm being very fair.
He's not biased. Well, he is a little biased, not so biased. Okay, so now Anand, you have been involved with the launch of a very popular online, I don't know what to call it, an online presence, which Badr forgot to mention, although he does mention it every time he speaks, Coke Studio. So can you tell us a little about how that happened?
I actually haven't checked the latest numbers. We haven't at that.
So as per last year, December 2010, Coke Studio was the world's 12th most visited channel. This is official figure from Google. 12th most visited channel in the world. और उसमें I think जो आपकी वो वीडियो है 6 million views. That's just one video has 6 million views already from Pakistan.
So if you can tell us a little about how that happened and how it took off, how long did it take for it to take this leadership?
Well, I think first of all, I'm the video producer for Coke Studio, so I mean, a lot of the credit goes to the brand and of course Ray and I. But we always went side by side, as you know, हर साल Coke Studio आता है, वो roadblock कर लेते हैं, हम 20 channel. लेकिन उसके साथ-साथ the real sort of replay value happens on channels like YouTube and through the Facebook page and wherever the videos are made. So I think about 3 years ago we really started taking it seriously, and now what's happened is we really figured out our international demographic already over here. People in India really started tuning in, people from the region, Afghanistan, wherever there's interest in subcontinental music. I think Coke Studios really reached out, and I don't really know what to say about it except that I was recently in India, this Asia Society conference, और वहाँ there's a lot of tension. With the Afghanistan contingent, there was a lot of tension. We don't even see why. But as soon as they found out that I was from working on Coke Studio, they were so happy with दो गाने and Dari, Bibi Sanam and Pemona, and that just completely broke the ice. They were like, "ये हम रोज सुनते हैं, हमारी इतनी बड़ी चीज़ है, अपने फख्र से करते हैं ये वो." So we've become more of a regional platform. Coming out of Pakistan, Coke Studio is becoming more regional. It started in India, Middle East में भी plans हैं, Africa में भी plans हैं. So the idea is that it's become more than just. I think the internet doesn't have those boundaries of the nation state. I think we create our own identities on the internet. I think all of us here belong to communities that don't necessarily just belong to Pakistan. And I think that's really where people are forming identities. And I think Coke Studio, for one, I mean it's not the only thing I've done online, but for one, it's been taking a real leadership role in terms of the youth and inspiring the youth, and also giving Pakistan a strong counter narrative to the whole terrorism, instability, sort of major Western traditional media narrative. There's a lot more to talk about, and we'll be open for questions afterwards. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
You phrased it so interestingly. That's not the only thing I've done online.
So that opens up to the next question.
I don't know this. I mean, I'm not not here just representing Coke Studio. Actually, I didn't know why I was here initially, but मैंने कहा ये इस पे मैं focus कर
Only
रहा हूँ.
because Rabia decided we were going to be here.
Okay.
That's the only reason.
I mean, I've done another campaign which I can talk about later, which is also just all web-based. You guys.
Okay, so there's another brand. How many of you heard the Khamoshi ka boycott slogan? See, you've got fans here. So tell us, I think that's, other than branding BJuice, it's also trying to bring about a social change. So can you tell us a little behind the background of that and how well it's done?
Yes, absolutely. I think talking about social media and the digital platform itself, I think the fact that corporations like Elmont and brands like Nations have taken on the bandwagon is testament to the fact that it is now not only believed, but it is a fact that this domain, this new wing of media is a big thing, it's a fact. It's not a fad anymore. So it's जो आप बात करी थी कि geeks पहले consider किए जाते थे, that's not no more. It's serious business now, and there's money involved, there's awareness involved, there's numbers involved. But then बात कर दी है. Regarding, I think Khamoshi ka boycott and the fact how does it marry up to blogging and everything. Blogging is all about expression, it's about talking. And Khamoshi ka boycott is all about revolution from within, about social change. And to a social change taken to the masses is sort of, marries very well with the idea of blogging and the reach that social platforms and digital platforms provide. Hence our collaboration and our focus on social media. Now, the fact, traditional media was involved in the launch of the entire thing, but I think social media we've done brilliantly well. Ever since the launch of the campaign, social media account on Facebook, our fan base is, I think, increased by 176%. Our Twitter accounts have increased by 120%, so and so forth. So, जो traction हमें मिली है from social media and from digital domain, that has been phenomenal, and that shows that the youth of Pakistan and BJuice being a youth brand बहुत ज़्यादा focused है इस चीज़ के ऊपर. तो आने वाले वक्तों में this is the media, this is जिसको हम new voice कह रहे हैं, it's going to be the voice for bulk of the population. There are more questions. If anybody is interested, I'm more than happy to answer it. For the time.
Okay, so last but not least, Imtiaz. Now you've been involved, right? Dubai. You've been involved to a large extent in analytics. So would you like to tell us, are brands, are corporations, are different types of organizations, whether it be NGOs or political parties, are they actually using analytics in some major way to decide how to launch their brands and how to actually get maximum impact?
When Sharik mentioned the 120% increase, 170% increase, that's a certain number, and great, and kind of thankful that he actually looked at that number and came back and shared that with you, and that gives you an insight about growth and his vision about understanding about what's the impact of what he's doing. Analytics is a very loose term. Analytics could be anything, but in depth, in the core depth of things, analytics is supposed to be a method for you to allows you to make decisions. हमारे यहाँ जो analytics का role समझा जाता है वो ये है कि most web publishers, that includes content publishers like newspapers and all these people, and brands who have their own websites. For them, analytics only means कि जी हमारी website पे कितने लोग हैं, कहाँ से हैं और कौन सा पेज देगा. अभी तक they still ask the word hits. Hits कितने हैं? So on a broader scale, I would say there's very little action on the numbers. If I were a brand, my question is, when I'm working with someone on the analytics side, my question is, when they come up to me with a question, I count the question. Why? Because my question is, what do you want to do with a number like that? Why do you want this number? Give me a business. See, when you have data, you're supposed to look for answers. Come up with a question and then see what you can find. It's like an ocean. You have to fish for something. You can't just go and put in a thing and let's see what comes out. Then that's really not what you're looking for. The numbers that are out there, there's so many numbers. Google Analytics is a great platform. It's very deep, it's very insightful for those who want it to be. It can require certain customizations if needed, but on a very basic level, if you log into the platform, it will tell you some numbers, which will only mean something to you based on what your business is. So if you were a front page related thing, आपका bounce rate ज़्यादा होगा, and then आप concerned हो जाएंगे, and because you read on some website कि bounce rate should be low, and then you'll be thinking, why is my bounce rate so high? So it all depends on what your business is. It also depends on what you want to know from those numbers. अगर आप पहले अपने business को समझें, उसके बाद उसकी जिस कहते हैं ना, उसकी अपने business की depth में जाएं, and then first to understand what can you do with information, or look for a problem you want to solve.
Thanks, Imtiaz, you well over your time.
How sorry, I get so this time.